Welcome, beginning orchestra. This video is for students who play the violin, viola, or cello in their first year of playing an instrument. In today's video, we are going to review how to play the songs on page 8 in your method book. That includes number 17, Hopscotch, number 18, Morning Dance, and number 19, Rolling Along, or as we like to call it, Mary Had a Little Lamb. I'm also going to review how to attach your shoulder sponge for violin and viola players. Let's go ahead and start with how to attach our shoulder sponge. If you're a cello player, you can skip this part as you don't use a shoulder sponge. For violin and viola players, we learned how to play in shoulder position this week. Every time you practice your instrument, you are no longer supposed to be doing guitar position. I'm asking that you play everything in shoulder position. In order to make shoulder position easier and more comfortable, we attach what's called a shoulder sponge to our instrument. In order to attach the shoulder sponge and to keep it in place, we need to attach the two rubber bands that come in your case. So go ahead and pull out your blue shoulder sponge and the two rubber bands that come in your case. If you're missing a shoulder sponge or rubber bands, you can send me an email and we'll make sure you get one of those soon. In order to attach your rubber bands, hold your violin or viola upside down like this. You'll notice that there are two large cutouts in each side of your instrument. When you hold the rubber band, you want to hook it on each part of that cutout, just like I see here. Then I'm going to stretch that rubber band over both sides of the instrument all the way until it crosses this little black peg or this little black button. I'll know my rubber band is in place if it's hooked on the top of that cutout, if it stretches all the way over both sides of my instrument and past that chin rest. Now I need to take the other rubber band and do the same thing to the other side. I hold the instrument upside down, I hook the rubber band on the top of that cutout, and I stretch the rubber band over both sides of the instrument until it crosses that little black button. Once I've done that, I'll see my rubber bands on each side of my instrument in this upside down V shape on both sides. We are now ready to attach the shoulder sponge. You'll notice that your shoulder sponge has a thick side and a thin side. Some shoulder sponges are more prominent than others, but it's usually one side that's thicker and one side that's thinner. When placing your shoulder sponge, we use the phrase thin chin to remember which side the thin side goes on. Your violin or viola has what's called a chin rest. That's this black teardrop shaped piece we've talked about. That chin rest is attached with these metal clips. Turn your instrument over so that you're facing the smooth side without any of the strings. Then place your shoulder sponge at the top of the instrument like this. Make sure that the thin side of your sponge goes on the same side as your chin rest, right by these metal clips. Think thin chin. Once you've placed your sponge at the top of the instrument, you can carefully tuck it underneath each rubber band by pulling the rubber band out from underneath and placing it over the sponge. That will keep your shoulder sponge in place each time you play. You may need to pull the sponge up closer to the edge of the top curve of your instrument to make it more comfortable. You are ready to play in shoulder position. In order to play in shoulder position, you hold the violin or viola out with your left hand. Then you turn the instrument over and bend your elbow so it comes right up to your chin, or right up to your left shoulder. Double check that you're holding your instrument over your left shoulder. I'll know I'm holding the instrument over my left shoulder because my left hand is holding the instrument and this chin rest piece will be right next to my chin. If I'm holding the instrument backwards, then when I go to lean my chin on the instrument, I've got this chin rest sticking out in front. That means I've got the instrument backwards and I need to switch over to my left shoulder. Then I can set my chin right on that chin rest. When you hold your instrument in shoulder position, keep your wrist and your arm straight. We'll practice this in lessons because it's a really common thing for students to squish their hand in like this. But that makes me have a bent wrist, and that'll make it harder to play in the long run. So we'll practice straightening out your wrist just like that. In order to pluck your instrument in shoulder position, we're going to use a new finger to pluck. Here's how you figure it out. Make a thumbs down with your free hand. Then place that thumb on the black fingerboard right at the corner. Make sure you're using a downward thumb, and then you move that downward thumb right over to the corner of this long black piece called the fingerboard. So I make a thumbs down, and I rest my thumb at the corner of that fingerboard like this. From there, I can stick out my first finger. That's my finger that I'm going to use to pluck the strings. Go ahead and try it. Rest your thumb against the corner of the fingerboard, stick out your first finger, and try plucking your strings. That's your new plucking finger. Every time you practice your instrument, I want you to use that new plucking finger in our new shoulder position. When you're finished practicing, you will need to take the sponge out from underneath the rubber bands to put it elsewhere in your case. That way the instrument lays flat. I've found that the sponge usually fits right over the scroll of the instrument like that. I tuck that thicker side right where that scroll is cut out, and that usually fits pretty well inside my violin or viola case. But for now, we need to keep our shoulder sponge on. Some violin or viola cases may not have the shoulder sponge. Instead, they might come with what's called the shoulder rest, which is a curved piece like this with little feet on the ends. If your instrument comes with the shoulder rest, I'm going to show you how to attach that now. Hold your violin or viola upside down. Yours probably will not have the rubber bands on it like mine does. Turn your instrument over so you're facing the smooth side that doesn't have strings. You'll notice that your shoulder rest has a slight curve to it. With your instrument upside down, you can go ahead and grip the feet to the edges of your instrument like that. Once I put one side in, then I can grip the feet right on the other side. This shoulder rest is set for a larger violin than I've got here, but your feet should attach to each side of the instrument at home. You'll know your shoulder rest is correct because it'll make the shape of a smile on your instrument, like this. If your shoulder rest is upside down, it'll make the shape of a frown on your instrument. So make sure your curving of the shoulder rest is in the shape of a smile, and you can grip the legs of the shoulder rest on the edge of the instrument. Here's number 17, Hopscotch. If you're playing a violin or a viola, then you're going to need to press 3 fingers on your G string, or on your D string, in order to play your G music note. So find your D string, press 3 fingers down, 1 on the first tape, next finger on the next tape, and 3rd finger on the 3rd tape. Remember, your pinky doesn't press anything down, so make sure that you're starting with your first finger or your pointer finger first. Then when you line up your next fingers, your pinky can just hang out. If you're playing the cello, then in order to play your first note, G, you need to press 4 of your fingers down. You press your first finger on the first tape after making your hand into the shape of a C. Make your hand into a C, rest your thumb on the back of the cello, and press your first finger on the D string. Then you press your second finger in between the 2 tapes on the D string. Then you press your third finger on the tape, and last, your pinky on the 4th tape. That will play your G music note. Let's go ahead and try number 17, Hopscotch. 1, 2, ready, go. G, G, F, rest. E, E, F, rest. G, F, E, F, G, 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 rest. Excellent work. Were you able to follow along with me? If that song was too fast, you may need to pause the video and try playing it by yourself a little bit slower to become more familiar with the notes. I'm going to play number 17 again, only this time I'll play it on a violin. Both the violin and the viola share the same D string. So if you play violin and viola, this is how 17 will sound on your instrument. Go ahead and try playing along with me in shoulder position. So you rest your instrument on your shoulder, tilt your chin to rest on the chin rest, make a thumbs down, and rest your thumb against the corner of the fingerboard, and use your first finger to pluck the D string. Let's place our fingers on the string, and here's number 17, Hopscotch. 1, 2, ready, go. G, G, F, rest. E, E, F, rest. G, F, E, F, G, 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 rest. Nice job. Let's take a look at number 18, Morning Dance. Morning Dance also starts on G. For violin and viola players, that means 3 fingers in shoulder position. For cello players, that means 4 fingers. Let's go ahead and try Morning Dance. You'll notice at the end of the song, there are 2 little dots. Do you remember what that symbol is called? That's called the repeat sign. Every time you see 2 little dots at the end of a song, that means you go back to the beginning of the song and play through the whole thing a second time. I'm going to play Morning Dance, and I'll make sure to play the repeat, so I'm going to play the song twice. Here's number 18, Morning Dance. 1, 2, ready, go. G, G, F, D, G, G, F, D, E, E, F, F, G, 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 rest. Let's repeat the song. Here's time number 2. Ready, go. G, G, F, D, G, G, F, D, E, E, F, F, G, 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 rest. Nice job. If that song was challenging for you, which I can guess it might be, take some time to slow it down and figure out the finger numbers for every note of the song. It's challenging because there are times when we have to switch from F sharp with 2 fingers to D with 0 fingers. That's quite the jump. Make sure to take it slow the first few times you practice, and it'll naturally get faster as your fingers learn the way to go. Here's number 19, rolling along. You'll recognize number 19 because it's the same tune as Mary Had a Little Lamb. Try to think of the tune of Mary Had a Little Lamb as you play along. You might even want to try singing along if you remember the words. Song number 19 is unique because it has 2 lines. That means you play through the whole first line, and without stopping, you play the whole second line as well. That will finish the entire song. Here's number 19, Rolling Along. Rolling Along starts on F sharp. For cellos, that means 3 fingers. For violin and viola, that means you only have to press 2. Here's number 19. 1, 2, ready, go. F, E, D, E, F, F, F. Rest. E, E, E. Rest. F, F, F. Next line. F, E, D, E, F, 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 E, E, F, E, D. Rest, rest, rest. Nice job. I'm going to go ahead and play Rolling Along one more time. This time, I'm not going to call out the letter names out loud. I'm just going to play the notes as they come. I'm also going to switch back to my viola. 1, 2, ready, go. F, next line. Rest, rest, rest. Excellent job. Before I finish our review video today, I'm going to pluck through Fancy Fingers number 3 and 4. Those exercises are new to this week. Go ahead and pull up Fancy Fingers number 3 and number 4. You can minimize this video and it should still play in the background while you find Fancy Fingers 3 and 4 on our Google Classroom. Here's Fancy Fingers number 3. If you're playing violin or viola, make sure that we're still playing in shoulder position. When you pluck, make your thumb down and rest your thumb against the black fingerboard and stick out your first finger to pluck the notes. Fancy Fingers number 3 starts on D. It then moves to our music note E, which is our first finger on the D string. Here's Fancy Fingers number 3. 1, 2, ready, go. D, D, E, E, D, D, E, E, D, E, D, E. Nice job. If you need to pause the video and play that one a little bit slower by yourself, go right ahead. Otherwise, I'm moving on to Fancy Fingers number 4. 1, 2, ready, go. D, D, E, E, F, F, E, E, D, E, F, E, D. Nice job. Those new fancy fingers exercises can be a bit of a challenge as those new notes come very fast. Don't be afraid to take it slow the first few times. Be patient. You'll get it. Playing in shoulder position for violin and viola players is challenging. It even feels a little bit uncomfortable at first. If you need to push your shoulder sponge closer to the edge of your instrument, feel free to do that. The more you practice your instrument, the less uncomfortable it'll feel. You can do it, keep up the great work, and I cannot wait to see you in our next music lesson.